Hello, and welcome to the Autism Resources Kawartha podcast. I'm Matt Garrity, and I'm so happy to be here with you. This conversation explores the experiences of an individual diagnosed with autism some time ago, focusing on Robert's journey through childhood, the challenges of socialization, and the therapeutic role of art in his life. The discussion also highlights the need for better support systems for adults on the spectrum, emphasizing the importance of recognizing their unique strengths and challenges. Robert was really nervous heading into the podcast and took some time to regulate afterwards. Even the time leading up to this podcast airing, he was nervous about some of the things that he said, and if they were controversial. I don't believe that they were, but I'll be the first to say that Robert's a good person and means well. The Autism Resources Kawartha podcast is a series of unscripted conversations with local autistic people and the people who love them right here in Kawartha Lakes. Join us for a new episode every Tuesday on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. This podcast couldn't be possible without the support of Cardinal Home Services. Thank you so much for everything. Check them out at cardinalhome.ca. Lastly, we're heading into Halloween, and if you're in Kawartha Lakes and want a free trick-or-treat bag, then just comment, email, or message us. There's a limited quantity available, and it's on a first-come, first-served basis. Now, finally, enjoy this conversation with Robert. So what's your experience with autism?
There's so many things, Matt. Experiencing autism and being on the spectrum. I have Asperger's. I was diagnosed in January of 2009. So pretty much I grew up not knowing that I had it and was not even aware of pretty much anything to do with Asperger's. Now, I was diagnosed under the previous DSM, so that was the criteria was set, able to do that, and I'm still able to carry that identification kind of thing, so my experience as a child and things like that, I was Matt, I'd say I was socially. My friends and things like that, I would have one friend and gravitate just to one person, and it really wouldn't be social with groups and things like that. I had given it some thought because I know that we've been preparing for this podcast. As a child, my parents moved around a lot, so I actually went to a different school every year up until grade 7. Every year. So I kind of was forced, to, okay, a lot of people, when they go to school first day, they put on new clothes, right? For me, I need to put on a good attitude, right? Because I don't know anyone. So luckily, tend to be a very friendly person, and so I met I was lucky to meet friends and but just one or two every year. So but that was tough, very tough, and so I will say one thing about remembering is that and I just thought about this. Remembering about grade 1 or 2, living in Niagara Falls, and art class, We had construction paper, some kind of thing that I built, It was a thing, and it was like a bird or something, and it was large, and there would always be two older students. Maybe they were like grade 6, whatever. And they would meet. I don't know if they'd look for me, but sometimes we'd run into each other, And I remember, right, specifically one time they took my piece of art I was so proud of, going to take it to my mother, and tore it up in front of me, and basically bullies, right? So going home, things like that, not comfortable, right? I always worried, am I going to, and stuff like that. And I also thought, man, I'm like, you know what? Why can't people be as loving as my mother? Because when I go home, it's my comfort zone. It's full of love, right? Nurturing and stuff like that. So, um, and this is going to be a funny one. This funny story is living in St. Catharines, Matt. Again, new, right? I think this was maybe my very first year of school. Started a year early. And I remember being on a playground, not knowing anyone, but wanting to fit in. So a couple of the students approached me and said, okay, we want you to punch one of the students in the face on a recess outside, right? So I just bam, right? And I can't remember what happened, like the teacher or the principal or whatever, but right, I just wanted to fit in, right? I'm not like that, right? That's the only really time that happened, but those are some of the things, right? That just wanting to be accepted, right? And you can imagine, right? Switching from school to school to school. Yeah, very, very anxious for like a good week at least, right?
Hey, it's Matt Garrity from the Autism Resources Kawartha podcast. I want to tell you about one of my family's favorite things to do in Kawartha Lakes, the Crazy Creative program at the Kawartha Art Gallery. It's totally free, open to all ages, and every Saturday the gallery turns into a space where you can express your imagination with model magic. I've taken my kids countless times, and we always walk away with big smiles. I've also talked to artists on this podcast who are autistic, and I love how a program like Crazy Creative makes creativity accessible for everyone. Join in any Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at the Kawartha Art Gallery. You can find out more by following them on social media or visiting kawarthagallery.com. You'll love it. Be challenging for any kid to switch school, but especially one on the spectrum.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, I didn't know, right? I knew that I knew that I was shy, right? I knew that I was more of an introvert, and as growing up, and I remember, I would say grade 6, that's when I became, especially grade 6, had a wonderful, wonderful teacher. Can you share who it was?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. His name was Mr. Gregory in Bridgenorth. And
shout out Mr. Gregory from Bridgenorth.
Yes. I tried to look for him, but just to say, right, he made an impact, a positive impact. And it was just an amazing, it was a split class, and 6 and 7, and just I felt just so wanted. I felt like I was part of a team. The class was a team. We all worked together, and it was right. I had a lot of friends then, and the teacher. Remember, we went out for a cross country ski trip, just around the area, and we had a campfire and whatnot. I didn't have cross country skis. He was nice enough to say, "Hey, I'm going to lend you some skis," and and as well, I guess he liked me. I think he did, because he sent me into the enrichment class when somebody was absent, right? So I never studied, or I never did any homework.
Yeah,
all throughout elementary, nothing. So, but he was like that, right? Come on in, go into that thing, and but different things, right? So, but very, very supportive, and a lot of the classmates I felt very comfortable with. And then 7, 8, and then 9 and 10, And then the first day, grade 10, dropped out, quit, right? Because I hated, right, the socialization part of it. And so.
Was that the hardest part of school, socialization for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I've never, ever stepped into a cafeteria. Only once in high school to find a friend, right? I'd always be in the back of the school, and there were people, right, that ate their lunch, and I became friends with them. I had a buddy or buddies. We'd go downtown, go to the arcades and things like that. But yeah.
Can you describe what was challenging about socialization? And this is something that I've always wanted to know more about, being neurotypical.
Right.
And I love asking that type of question to someone like you on the spectrum to better understand. Can you articulate, can you describe literally what some of those triggers feel like? So I've asked people similarly about sensory issues and like what it feels like, and they described it like bracing for impact, like mentally thought like a car crash of impact, having to touch this slimy, dirty outdoor hose. So, how would you describe socializing?
I'd say different than, right, the impact, the sensory, all of that stuff. I typically, right, on the during recess breaks, right, at the high school and stuff, I'd be found out in the smoking area hanging out with, right, the girls and the guys, right, and stuff like that, right? And and I even shared a locker with two girls, right, in grade 10. So there wasn't an issue that way. But I think that, right, I think what I lacked in the social, right, the strength of the, right, the communication, the expression, and all of that kind of stuff. I think way back then, it was more I used other things to, right, to, when we were way back when, right, might look a little dapper, you might wear the latest thing and stuff like that. So and not knowing, right, I guess this is the key, Matt, is I observe, and I'm very keen at observing, right? So I watch, and right, it would be the same as someone that's watching TV, picking up the cues, right? How to communicate. You want to watch Gilmore Girls? That's a perfect way, because they just yap, yap, yap. So I watch the cues of my friends, of all of the people and things like that. And right, I don't believe that's masking, but these are just, right, watching the cues, because they all did it. It's a peer group, right? The whole thing. So they look at the cues. They known the cues earlier, right? But so I would do that, and I would I'd go with the flow, right? What they, well, it would be like music, right? Okay, I like this group. I'd like to fit into that group, right? And they all did, right? We all have subgroups, right? And stuff like that. The metalheads, right? The jocks, right? The preppies, right? The goths. Well, I don't know if there were goths back then, but
Yeah.
right? But there were certain underlying things, like not rules, but like a social convention where you're like, yeah, okay, got to dress a certain way, got to act a certain way. The punks, right? 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 Anarchy or whatever. So yeah, it was kind of like that for me.
And you felt like you never belonged to any of those social groups?
I did, yes. I did.
The goths?
No,
No?
No, not the metalheads, but I would say, I probably would say, right, that Levi's, right, jean jacket, right, the GWG painter pants, right, and the whatever was in vogue style or whatever. So I would probably say somewhere in between just jock and just kind of I really don't know any other, right?
Sure.
But yeah,
When did you get into art?
that's a good question. I knew you were going to ask that because, right, you already said that
Yeah.
one. I thought about that one.
Yeah.
Already shared what those, right? I don't want to put it, you have to put explicit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But those bullies.
The bullies.
I'm allowed to say damn bullies?
You can say damn bullies. I'm pretty
Right,
sure.
right.
Yeah, I don't think I have to put anything.
Nah. Right.
Hopefully, I'm not corrupted too many kids' ears by saying damn
Right.
bullies.
Right. I haven't experienced a lot of bullies. I have, but right. I remember who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're getting their karma back.
So when did you get into art?
Well, that was part of it, right? Because I took pride in right the things that I did in school in art class, because that was very important to me. I would say that my mother, she was very influential to me, and my family were. I interchange this artistically inclined, and then I say autistically inclined because they're so close.
Yeah.
So my mother actually dabbled in oil paints.
Okay.
And my father, right, a musician of sorts, right, and would go, right, Miss Diana Motor Hotel and do concerts or no, not concerts, but right, up on stage. Okay, next person, and then we'll have a contest. He'd always come back with $50, right,
Sure.
and play a Jim Crochet or whatever.
Yeah.
So I had that experience, like that environment, right, that was enriched with music and arts. So I remember as a wee child, my mom would do arts and crafts with me, and I'd love it. And we did. I remember a couple of things. Is we have maize or corn, right? And we made figures, right, out of that. But the apples were the cool parts because you could make them. They look like old people, right, with wrinkles. Sorry, right, and all that stuff. They actually look very realistic if you carve them the right way. So then we built bodies around them and things like that. So there were all kinds of arts and crafts, and I would just love that stuff. So that in itself is more artsy, like right, the crafty part of it, but it's still within the realm of. But to answer your question, I believe I was started a year early in school. So in grade 4, I was in Coronation School, which is no longer. And I remember not at school, but at home with pencil crayons, drawing something that I would like to reproduce because it was just amazing. And it was called Building a Rainbow. And it had all these little tiny, like stick figures, but more than stick figures, and a huge sun, and right, this big machinery, and everybody had like a little quadrant of different colors on the spectrum, and
cool.
right, the cranes and stuff, and so I did that at the age of typically at grade 3. So I think that's when the visual arts kicked in.
Sure.
And so I'd say that.
And then how did you get into doing that professionally and doing what kind of art do you produce now?
Primarily abstract expressionism since for the last 21 years, right? And as you know, I'm venturing into mainstream traditional abstract, right? So modern abstract. Now, conceptualized definition of what modern abstract is, right? You could go back to, right? Walk into the Guggenheim, wherever you want to go, right?
Sure.
AGO. Probably looks a lot the same.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But that's what I'm exploring both, and you'll get to see because I'm gifting you, right?
Do you want to look at them now, or do you want to wait? Do as the grand finale. We'll wait a bit. We'll keep talking about art.
Yeah.
What type of painting material do you use then? Is it?
That's a funny one, actually. Okay, so when I first started, hey, share that one.
Yeah.
Okay. The very first thing was a movie, and I was talking to my girlfriend about this, right? Because she's a year younger than me, right? So she knows all about it. And there's a movie by Ed Harris and Jennifer Connelly, right? Because I was telling her, right? She kind of looks like Jennifer Connelly, if you know who she is,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And I said, out of all the actresses, right, she is the ideal for, right? So, and probably the same age now, right?
Sure.
So,
and was her favorite actor going to be Ed Harris?
Actually, she doesn't have any. She doesn't pick favorites of anything.
Right.
She's a stoic, right? So
very neutral.
Yes.
Switzerland.
I guess, yes. So I was showing her, right? We were doing a video, and I had said the Pollock movie, right, with Ed Harris, right, was 2000 and 2001, and when I had seen that movie, Matt, and watched that, I loved art before that, but I saw, right, Jackson, right, but not Jackson, but the style of Jackson, right, and Jackson, but it's Ed,
sure, yeah,
right, and I thought about it, and I thought, you know what, these are beautiful, beautiful aesthetic pieces, and I thought, I can do this. It doesn't look hard, right? Now it is.
Yeah.
And so after seeing the movie, I thought about it, and I was teaching up in James Bay and had my special education special. I still do. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was being evaluated by the principal because that's what they do, right? They come in, and so I had to create a lesson plan, and I'm trying to think because I was working with atypical students, right? And I won't go into the this and the that, but and I'm going to say this: we had this beautiful, beautiful school, like beautiful, it looked like a university, right? Like it did. I won't name the place or the town, but all the atypical that had issues that they weren't, I don't think, necessarily welcome. Come on in, because they were, some would see as a handful. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
So we got stuck in a portable, outside,
Yeah.
Just there you go.
Sure.
Right. And there's an experience all to itself, is, okay, over there. And so having this, creating this lesson plan and thinking, okay, I need to do something unique. And I need to do something that I enjoy, and I believe that that they can do without others making judgments, right? They can. I wanted them to do something artistic, right? And I thought, okay, right, Pollock, right, the movie. I'm like, okay, right, let's. I had an EA working with me and stuff like that, and maybe we had talked and that. Let's get these students, right? And what a wonderful idea, because it's subjective. It's the individual, right, allowing themselves just for the unconscious, just to flow. There's no rules, and that's why I like this art. There's no rules. You do as you want. No one can say that's wrong, right? In realism and things like that, if you draw an owl or something like that, it's missing its beak, right? Hey, you did something wrong, right? Maybe.
Right.
Maybe. So I thought, okay, wonderful idea. It's very inclusive. Everyone can. And I had actually just like more or less a canvas, and everyone was dripping their paints. And I kind of showed them and prepared a lesson and explained to them that that Jackson, right, the kind of the founder of the drip style movement, that he had a lot of issues, right? A lot of issues, behavioral issues. So I tried to connect. I tried to, right, connect the students so that they could empathize with that individual and say, you know what? Yeah, right. And maybe even watch the movie, right? Pushed in that little cart with the TV. So we had that lesson. The principal was there. I think he was impressed, and the students, right, were allowed to do what they wanted. And then we had this, right, this really wicked, colorful piece. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So acrylics.
Right.
That,
Acrylics.
no, I know. No, I'm getting into it, but yes, acrylics.
Yeah.
And this is how the squirrel happened, right? No, this is how the squirrel happened is initially, right? Initially, and this is why I share that story. Initially, it was in primary, elementary school acrylic paint.
Right.
And when I started, right, I started my art, right? When I started creating art that others really appreciated, and I went to Curry's in Whitby and purchased that. I was purchasing, Matt. I was purchasing the elementary art, right? The colors, the acrylics that the public schools would be using, and I really couldn't tell the difference. I'm like, wow, I really love this piece.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until a long time after, right, continued on with the acrylics, that I realized that it will look a lot better if I go up in terms of, right, the quality and stuff like that. So always been acrylic, but now primarily Liquitex acrylic.
Awesome.
Sorry for the squirrel.
No, that's what we're here for. And
Yeah.
I was thinking about how you love art because there's no rules and there's no right and wrong. And that's what podcasting is in a lot of ways. It can be however you want it to be. There are no rules. I can ask you a question, you can answer with one word, or you can squirrel, as you said. But like, that's what we're here for. So I think
Right.
this is great.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, how do you think being on the spectrum has helped you be a better artist?
Okay. Website, right?
Yep.
Okay. I can't remember all that stuff. I was going to note it down because, right, I'm visual, right? I'm not, right? Okay. So good question. Yeah, good question. I would say, very, very good. I have a very strong suit for attention to detail, right? When I was, no, I'm going to say that, right? No, you know what it was, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, right, I can spot something very, very quickly, very quickly. And may I add something?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I was in the military for 4 years, right? The reserves. And Israel, back before, right, what's going on now? Sure. They have a unit, right? And this is about attention to detail. The Israeli armed forces have a unit. They bring in individuals, right? High functioning autism, Asperger's, whatever you, AS1, ASD level 1, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
Right. And they have a division or a group of individuals. I did a little research on this. And what their job is they look at satellite imagery, right? They look at it when it was taken at this time, and then, right, they will just scan it. And I know I can just, and then they will be given, and the exact same, right? Aerial photograph taken at a different time. And their job is to find the changes,
Wow.
to find, right? Just the attention to detail and just scan it. Just, right? Just like that. So there are jobs just like that, right? For people that are very proficient at attention to detail. So we going back on squirreling, right? Attention to detail. It's for me. It's always been that way. The hyper focus.
Yeah.
It used to be called the special interest. I like a hyper focus.
Sure.
I lose time.
Yeah.
So when you see high octane, and being a perfectionist, that's also another thing, right? Everything needs to be perfect, right? The signature, for example, all of that stuff. But I had spent for high octane because of its abstract, not abstract expression, which is drip style, right? That's a difference. There's a whole different right thing about that. I had spent well over 100 hours just doing that one, well over, right?
Yeah.
And just, I mean, it got to the point, right? I would work 10 hours straight, right? And lose track of time. So the hyper focus allows me just to get right in to a zone where I zone everything out, right? Of course, right? I need to have, right, my smokes in between.
Yeah.
But so there's that. And there also, I think, for myself, Matt, is the aesthetics, the ability to in my mind to envision. It's very easy for me to envision, get an idea of something and just paint that picture and get it right in my mind. I'm left-handed as well, so right hemispheric dominant. So, but I can, I know the color schemes and hues. I've been doing it forever, but so we got the attention to detail. I would say it's extreme. The perfectionism, the dedication. I know there's way more than that, but
when did you realize that you doing art, what would you say, completing art?
Finishing a piece?
Finishing a piece or being an artist, when did you realize that that was a profession and something you were meant to do versus a special interest?
Well, good question. It is not a profession per se at this time.
Sure.
As you know.
Sure. Yeah.
Right, as you know.
Yes.
But I think things are building momentum-wise. And at this point in time, I would say yes, you're right. It is a profession, but it's a profession where I gift.
Well, I guess to rephrase the question then for more clarity is like, because this is like art, something you've been doing for a number of years.
Oh, yes.
Though it's beyond a special interest. And when do you think that you realized your art was not just a special interest?
I think when I got the reception from other people, other artists, and that would probably go back to 2009, 2010, when I attempted to do a return to work, which failed. And so I was, I had my art to rely on.
Sure.
And I remember a very good family friend, and she went to OCAD, and her family were all artists from Montreal. She was from British Columbia and doing beautiful, beautiful pieces. And I showed Trinity, the one piece, right, that is on the website, I believe, with the browns and the whites and the three, the three blacks. She had seen that. It was hanging on my wall. And she said, "That's incredible." And she knows her art.
Yeah.
And she said, right, she had to look at all of the different pieces. And she said, "Wow, that's just so not very much longer. I decided, okay, she really appreciates it. She knows, right, she knows all the jargon. She knows, right, she's been taught, right, art as the theory and all of that stuff. So I'm thinking, okay, I am going to create a painting for her and then gift her that as just as a appreciation, because I'm big on appreciation. So, so it was then that people were saying, "You know what? You've got some cool SH apostrophe
Yeah.
T.
Some cool stuff."
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you. Right. Yep.
So 2009, you got diagnosed.
Yes, January.
That was like 16 years ago.
Yes.
You were 15 years old.
No.
How old were you?
Yeah. You were being sarcastic, weren't you?
I was.
I have a hard time with sarcasm.
I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just going to be clear. How old were you when you got diagnosed?
I probably was 38.
Okay.
Yeah, 38 at that time.
Why did you decide when you were 38 to get diagnosed?
I was having struggles at that time. And there was a pamphlet left on a desk. And I picked it up. I don't know if it was intended for me, if it was intended for students. I don't know, right? But I picked it up. And it talked about Asperger's, and it gave a list of all of the different things, all the different characteristics that you could find in someone, or right, some of them, right? Because once you meet one, you've met one, right?
Yeah.
So I took that home. For whatever reason, I took it home because maybe I quickly scanned it and then went and brought it home. I read it again, and then I'm like, I had an aha moment, I guess that was what they call it.
Sure.
And then they called my mom, right? And she was in Peterborough. And I said, "I got to share something with you." I said, "There's this thing called Asperger's," right? I didn't know about that because I had been working with people on the, right, that were, at that time, we would call them lower functioning, right? Now we would call them high support needs, right? So, right? So I really didn't know anything.
Support needs, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I didn't know anything about Asperger's, really, right? Other than there was one individual that I had met, right, and had discussions with at the school, and it was, and I would say, "Okay, take it." Probably just like,
You had a lot to say.
Yeah. It was just excited, right? So, and that's fine.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, wow, man, the enthusiasm, right? So that's all that I could identify with. That's the only experience. And I think I knew the father, right? So that's why I could, right? I had these discussions because the father perhaps asked, right? Do you mind just having a chat? So brought this little brochure home. I read it, called my mother, and I said to her, have a listen. And I went through the list. And she's like, when I finished the list, she's like, wow. She's just like, wow. She's like, I think we're onto something here.
So she had no idea what Asperger's was back then?
She was a teacher as well, okay. Right? But not for as long as, right?
Sure.
As I had been, but She may have. I'm not sure. Right? She was an EA.
Okay.
But I know that she was not per se working with individuals on the spectrum. So
Right.
yeah, so I really don't know the answer to that.
Okay. And then you got diagnosed.
Mm-hmm.
And what feelings came with being diagnosed?
I will say this. The feeling, right? Now I was under benefits at that time. I don't know why I didn't think about just submitting a claim for that. But I went the feelings. I'll get to the feelings, right? We're gonna squirrel back a little, and then we're gonna get back to it. So I did a little inquiry, and I hit up the Autism Society of Ontario, the ASO. I don't believe that they're around anymore. They folded because they didn't have the cash, right? And then again, a nonprofit, just like Autism Kawartha Resources, right? Thumbs up. So I sent them an email or called them and said, who could you recommend? So I went to the ADD center with Dr. Linda Thompson in Mississauga, right? And the good thing, $750, and I got in like two weeks, 3 weeks, right? 2-3 weeks.
Fast.
So that was right. How did I feel? I felt like, hey, I got $750, right? No, so it felt good.
Yeah.
And also, to answer your question, I would say, I felt relief because it provided me with answers that I was always curious about. Well, okay, well, why? Why do people say this, or why do I get, and how? Why am I perceiving life the way that I am? Why am I experiencing the way that I am? Why are the interactions different, right? That I've observed from, right, neurotypicals,
Sure.
right? And I give you so that was it was a relief. It was a sense of enlightenment. When I was in the military, we were doing basic officer training in Saint Jean, Quebec. I had all kinds of friends there, right? Because I was very easy to get along with, and
Sure.
And one of my one of my friends now, Seinfeld was a big deal back in '98.
Yeah.
And I'd have conversations with everyone. We were outside, remember, in the hallway, right? It was adjacent to a door, and we were talking. He goes, I need a Cosmo Kramer decoder watch to understand what you're saying. But he was being nice about it, right? But that's what he said. I need a Cosmo Kramer decoder watch to understand what the heck you're saying. So there were, right? There were things, right? That just little things.
You had questions, and it gave you answers.
Well, I just thought, right? Little eccentric, little quirky, but I enjoyed it because the others enjoyed, right, the humor, right? So so things like that. But yes, the sense of enlightenment about right, being able to self-reflect and being able to recognize, and importantly, focus now, and which I still do, about the strengths, my challenges, never weaknesses, always challenges.
Yeah.
And, right, as a report card says, next steps. But that's right throughout everything. So, yeah.
What are your strengths? Besides attention to detail, besides you're a friendly, caring person,
I try.
Smart, you're an artist. What else?
The strengths. I wouldn't say patience.
No?
No. Strengths. I'm resilient. I will share with you, Matt. and those who know me well, if I have one bad day, right, that day is one day. When I sleep, when I wake up, it's a new day. The new day provides you with new opportunities. So what was then isn't now. So those who know me and are close, which aren't a lot, know that, wow, man, he is like, wow, like super upset, right?
Yeah.
And, right, or just having a terrible day. They know that next day, right, because my moods are pretty even, right, and they're pretty upbeat. So, so that would be one of the strengths, is being resilient and to do that. I would say being right, having the Asperger's, way more strengths than challenges, and I would think. What would you think the same thing? There are way more strengths than there are challenges for people. We're all unique, but people like myself and the people that you would know that might be right in a similar kind of thing, right?
Absolutely. I think it takes a certain, maybe special type of person to recognize their strengths, though, especially when so many people have probably said they've been challenges, and you've been told that you've had a lot of challenges and those dang bullies. And for you to still be as resilient as you are and speak so positively about who you are, which is deserved, but for you still to be that positive and resilient is special.
Thank you. And I think part of it as well, and I think like my GP, my specialist, except I know my GP has said this, and others have said this as well, is I'm very, very in touch. I'm introspective. I'm very aware of my body, physically, my mind, and my spirituality, because those three, right? And so that I can, that's part of that. I would like to think that's part of the enlightenment of self, is to be able to monitor and to gauge and things like that. So the self-awareness helps with the resiliency and things like that, because I know myself well enough that, right, whatever happens, right, tomorrow's a new day, right? Yes, you might have, like, right, it could have been a total show, right? Show.
Yeah, poop
right?
show.
yeah. But, right, tomorrow's a new day, right?
Yep.
So,
and you've spoken to me about Stoicism, and something I heard about Stoicism a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, doesn't matter. My wife hated this idea, but I said Stoicism is anything that happens is neither good nor is it bad. It just exists. She hated that. She thought it took like all the emotion out. And I don't want to speak for her too much, but she's like, it takes the emotion out of things, and emotions are good, and there's good, happy, positive emotions. Then there's bad emotions. There's anger and there's sadness.
right.
But then to be stoic, you are, no matter what happens, it's neither good nor bad. And I found that fascinating. She did not.
And may I ask?
Yeah.
If it was a couple of weeks ago, because I know I presented with you, I said I would like to just discuss a few things. Here's a few quotes.
Yeah.
That touched me. And my girlfriend, very much into Stoicism and learning from her. And then a very, very dear friend of mine, he's also right into that. So it's new to me. But how did it was a couple of weeks ago, where did you hear about that, and what kind of guided you to an interest in?
As you would say, great question. And I appreciate it's conversational. You've asked me a question. So I'm trying to get this straight. Maybe 5 years ago. No, it was 7 years ago. About 7 years ago, started to pay a bit more attention to my mental health. And one of the things that I started doing was sleep stories. So I'd fall asleep faster or not lay in bed and have the wheels turning.
The ruminating?
Yes.
Yes.
And I just started my own business. I was out on my own. I was the only person in my family or home that was generating income for the house. We had 2 boys under 4,
Mm-hmm.
3, and they were 18 months or something. So I was so stressed, so stressed. I started to learn about what that meant in my own mental health. And I would be going to bed and like my mind was going, thinking about the business and finances and security, right?
Right, right.
So one of the first things I did, like I said, was the sleep stories. And it was on an app, the Calm app, which still exists, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a lot of other interesting stuff on there. So they had guided meditations, they had sleep music, sleep stories. They're awesome. You could learn about even the history or like some stuff about sleep, which I found really interesting.
Right, right.
And where I'm going with all this is one of the stories for one of their series, and I can't remember exactly what it was for. Maybe it was just like personal development. One of the almost hour-long stories that they had there was from Ryan. It's either Holiday or Halliday, who is, I think, in a way, kind of made Stoicism trendy again. I forget what he's written, but anyways, and he spoke about Stoicism.
Mm-hmm.
And I would throw it on in my earphones when I would mow the lawn, and I'd be listening and learning about the Stoicism, and I found it like fascinating in a lot of different ways. And that's how I don't go down rabbit holes about it, or
What do you mean about
I don't, as you would say,
rabbit hole?
I don't squirrel with it. Like I don't.
Oh, okay.
It's not a hyper fixation for me.
Right, right.
I'm interested in it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's cool. And there's stuff I've picked up and tried
Right.
to practice,
Right.
and then I didn't pay any attention to it for a couple of years, and then I'll give you too much information again.
No.
This summer,
I give you too much information, so
okay.
we do it together. It's
Yeah.
reciprocal, right?
This summer, my wife, to trick my kids into reading more, she's created this great reading challenge for the whole family.
Right, which is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, and in the spirit of inclusivity, part of it was, yes, you can read from a book, or if you want to listen to an audiobook, that counts as well. So what I did was I got from the library like an app where I downloaded it was something about like how to be a Roman emperor, and it was all based on Stoicism and
Marcus Aurelius.
It was fascinating. So
And
I've only
his
listened
memoirs.
to the first couple
Those are
hours.
memoirs.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've only listened to the first couple hours of it, but it like started making me think about Stoicism again. And like I learned a couple interesting things. And my oldest son, who's diagnosed with autism, and he loves like history and Roman emperor
and philosophy.
Not yet.
No.
But like he likes that historical stuff, so I learned some stuff and talked to him about it, and he loved it. And anyways, it brought up some interesting thoughts of Stoicism again. So when you had mentioned it in an email, I was like, I hadn't planned to get here today at all in this conversation, but yeah, I just threw it out, and I just found it interesting. It's exactly what you're talking about, just in maybe different ways. Like you are very resilient, and when you talked about maybe having a tough day, you go to bed, you wake up, brand new day. That's my son. He had a really really tough day. Again, diagnosed with autism.
Yep.
A couple years ago, he had a really tough day yesterday. He went to bed pretty mad at me, and this morning, he wakes up. I walk out. I see him. He didn't even like hug or kiss me goodnight last night. He was like, "Good night," and walked away. He's like, "I'm still pretty mad at you." And I'm like, "I understand. You're allowed to be mad at me. Good night. Love you." And then this morning, I see him. And I'm like, wondering what he's going to be like, and just big smile on his face. like sees dad. He's happy. He's loving. And it's just,
you were a great guy. I mean,
thank you.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But he's resilient. And he's, like you said, the next day he just wakes up and yesterday is the past.
Yeah.
He's like,
right.
let's tackle today.
Yeah.
So it just made me think of that. It's like nothing that happens is neither good nor bad.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
May I say as well?
Of course.
Now, I am in the process, right? And then the Stoics say this, right? Is they say be humble, right? And it always they say,
Try to keep it a bit here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, what they say is that do not come across to society that you know everything. Now, sometimes it's hard when you know a lot about some things, right? A little about a lot of things, maybe I'll say that part. And it might come across as know-it-all, right? But that's not true. But the Stoics will say, from what from the little that I know, is that, right, never assume, even though you might be a Chopin, a Mozart, a Isaac Newton,
a Matty G Digital.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Let's feed your ego, man. Is that never assume that you're an expert, because there will always be individuals in society, in the world, that will know way more than you do.
Yeah. And
maybe that's a Buddhist philosophy. Maybe it's right. Could be Christian. I don't know, right? But it's true.
Mm-hmm.
So they say, be humble. This is a new thing for me, right?
Sure.
And I will share, right? Your son, right? The resiliency. It's not been like that for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on it because of the fact that trying to put this, right? I actually have, sorry guys, I've got a short fuse.
Okay.
And I try my best. And this is why Stoicism, right? It says, right? Can I pull this out?
Go ahead, yeah.
Because that's why it's here.
Yeah.
Right. And I've learned, right, that people, right, they can be very mean, and especially, right, when, they decide, okay, it's bully time.
Yeah,
right?
those damn bullies.
Yeah. And I have gotten to the point where, and this is where I know I need to control that, right? Otherwise, right, I am dealing with a whole different thing, repercussions and stuff. So with the Stoicism and, right, this Marcus Aurelius, emperor of the Roman Empire. I don't know if it was the flourishing Roman Empire. Do you know?
I think it was earlier on. It was before it became like the Roman Emperor. I believe. I think, yes. I think it was before Julius Caesar.
Yeah, where they knocked off Jesus, who was a great humanitarian at the least, right?
I think it was before then. Anyways.
Because Stoicism was it kind of begot 300 years before Christ, or 300 BCE for those in university studying, right?
Ask my son Beckett, who's obsessed with this, and like I use him as a Google sometimes. I'll be like, hey, when did this happen? Or if I know he knows, he'd be like, oh, this happened, and he knows. I'm like, that's word then. That's it.
Yeah, right. Whether you like it or not, maybe he's AI.
Yeah.
So what I liked, Matt, what I really, really liked, and it hit me, when like the Stoics, you got Aurelius, right, the emperor. You have Seneca. I wonder, Seneca College, right, is that named after? And then you have, sorry.
I think it must be. I thought the same thing. I was on my lawnmower like 2 weeks ago, and they were talking about Seneca, and I was like, I bet you it's the same.
Yeah, I was wondering that. But at the same time, Seneca could be an indigenous, right? Right? Because it sounds like that as well.
Okay, yeah.
No, but I don't know, right?
I could write a book on the things I don't know. So
yeah,
this would be one of them.
And then the other one was, and my girlfriend was having a hard time with this. She was saying one thing, and I was like, I don't know. I pronounce it one other way. Epictetus, or yes,
Epictetus?
Ipetus.
I'm bad at that stuff too, in the pronunciations.
Yeah.
My son's obsessed with Greek mythology specifically.
Ah.
And I'll be saying things. I'll say Hercules. He's like, it's like there's different pronunciations and all this stuff. But anyways, or I'll get to a part in a book because he's read about them. And they got a lot of great kids books about Greek mythology and history. But he also listens to a podcast. So then he hears in the podcast, and then I'll be like, "How do you pronounce this word?" He goes, "Oh, that's how you say it." I'm like, "Okay, thank you."
Because there's internet, and I was talking to Rory yesterday, I think, and she's like, "Well, it's called this," and I said, "I don't know. I have a hard time with this one. Yeah. I don't know what it's called." I say there is something on the internet, all kinds of sites where you just type in a word and it will tell you.
Yeah.
Right. But I had no time because I'm preparing for this. Right. And all anxious about this. Right. And
I made your life miserable the last month. I'm so sorry.
But no, it's not your fault. You sent the package saying don't need to prepare and all of that stuff. But the art, the this, the that, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to extend our time because I'm like,
sure,
we ain't got nothing to talk about. Right?
Have you ever been on a podcast or anything else before on radio?
I've been on radio, Trent Radio.
Okay.
When I lived with students.
Okay.
Once.
Right.
Soul explosion. No, that's what the roommates have, right? The soul explosion.
Nice.
Back in the 90s. But no.
You're good. You're natural. You seem comfortable. But let's read your quote.
Yeah.
Look at the art, and I'll ask you my last question.
I've been on with Joe Rogan smoking.
Yeah, right.
Cigars, right? I'm 384 days clean here, by the way.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I had to show that. Okay, so the Stoics, right? They basically, and I just had to just do a little research. There's not a lot. It offers that guidance for navigation through life's challenges.
Right.
It's kind of that way. And there's another book, by the way, at the Peterborough Library. It's kind of like 12 steps. They give you every day something to think about.
Right.
And that's what I listen to. That's all I've listened to. So, but accepting, this is a big thing for me. Accepting what you cannot control.
Mm-hmm.
Just, right? If you can't control it, right? This is what, Matt, right? This is what, right? These people are saying now, right? Let it go, right? There's a woman that's right.
Yeah.
Let it go. This is 300 years before Christ, right? Saying this, right? So, right, accept what you can't control and just let it go and focus on what's within your power, right? So to me, that's very, very heavy, right? If you can't control it, my mom would say that, right? You can't control. I'm like, damn straight you can.
Yeah.
Like, have a look at the protests, right? In the movements and stuff like that, right? Martin Luther King and, right, the Million Man March and whatnot. I don't know what happened there, but, right, there's all kinds of political movements, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so there's just 1, 2, 3, 4 quotes that really, really touched my heartstrings.
Let's read them.
And I shared these with the 2 others that really are into it. And minimalism is a big deal, right? And there's one about that. So you had shared this. I heard you, right? I heard what you were saying. It's not what happens to you, but it's how you react that matters. So it's reaction. I think we're learning that in psychology, but right?
Yeah, and maybe that's, I don't know exactly how you said it, but yeah, the similar one where nothing matters other than how you react to it.
Yeah. But this is this is like a self-development thing that
Mhm.
takes like, it could take a lifetime, right? To realize and to live that, right? And so bear with me here, Matt. We might go a little longer than I want.
Strap
Right,
in.
yeah. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay. There's a school of thought. I believe it could be William James, right? He was one of the founders of psychology. I'm hoping it's him, because if it's not, right? He says, we are happy because we smile, right? We are sad because we frown. So what does that have to do with it, right? Not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. Now, the reaction, right? And that one of the founding fathers, sorry guys, girls, right? And other pronouns, right? Is that, right? It's how you react. So, and physiologically, they've done experiments and things like that, that if you're smiling, right, the body actually, all of the chemicals, neurotransmitters and stuff like that, it tells your body, hey, you know what? Yeah, I'm in a good mood.
Yeah.
Even if you're not. So that's one. And the second one is, Matt, is difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. So, right, it's the difficulties, the understanding that, right, life isn't, right, what do they say? I am not good at idioms. Bowl of cherries? Life isn't a bowl of cherries?
It's a box of chocolates, isn't it?
Wait a minute, I don't know, right?
Tomato, tomato.
You never know what you're going to pick out, right?
Yeah.
And these are the two very, very, these are the two key components, I think, that I need to, right, to strive to, and as well, right, eliminating things that I was prescribed to help me, right, with my social anxiety and the Asperger's and stuff like that, were ridiculous amounts of cannabis. And just coming to the realization on my own that, you know what, this is doing way more harm than good, right? I would do it in my home, right? Never outside in the public, right?
Yeah.
I'd be responsible, right? Right. The only thing I'd operate was my lawnmower. No, as a, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be listening to audio cassettes, right?
Yeah.
But music.
Yeah.
But from good people, you learn good. But if you mingle with bad, you'll destroy such soul as you had. And I say this because a lot of the people that I was involved with and hung out with and were exposed to and encouraged, right, to, let's blaze, or let's do this and that, right? It's time to separate myself from that and start afresh. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Thanks. And then the last one is, in the similar, the key is to keep, this is key for me, right? Respect and dignity. That's right. It's a human rights. That's the code, right? The key is to keep company only with the people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth the best. If you aren't being uplifted by someone, see ya, right? No, it's true.
Sure.
I've got no time. I don't think anybody should have the time to be in a place where there's no uplifting of another individual, right? We all need to share respect. We all need to do, right, share that dignity of all. So you hit me up with some stuff. I already shared the Stoic quotes.
That's awesome. Can I look at my art? Let's go.
You know what? Yes, of course. Yeah.
This might not be great audio, but let's try to, I'm going to open it up and you describe it into the mic. I won't be talking too much, but you try to describe it if you can.
Describe
art.
Describe the no rules business.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay. And Matt, I've explained before. You hit that button. We just stop that button, right? Right.
Yes.
That I've wrapped it up in sequence. So the first thing on the outer is the first thing, right?
Okay.
And so, yeah, feel free. Now, these are gifts, right? Appreciation, right? They're appreciation gifts for Maddie G Digital and ARC.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to see these finally, because we've been speaking about them for a couple months now.
Yeah.
Sorry, I may have taken these out of sequence. I'm sorry.
When you say thank you very much in front of the mic, and you need to do it like Elvis.
No, I don't want it.
Yeah.
Sorry. So I've got the big one, this one, and then a smaller one. What do you want me to open?
Okay, so what I would recommend, I've been gifting these to my buddies and stuff, right? One in Mississippi, another in Alberta, etc. And so I know I was going to put elastic on it. You would do it. That's a bad idea. So this one, yes, that one. And if you want, I can hold.
I can put this one down here.
Yeah, it's up to you. Yep. Oh, okay. There's one, and there's okay. Yeah.
So this one's first.
Yes, this one does not. I know you had discussed this one. It does not have high resolution.
Okay.
Okay.
Can people see this?
Here, just
Maybe not a good background for this, but
You
you
know.
can always show some pictures later. This is really cool.
this is fire. I didn't have a name for it, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, you know what? I like the word firefly. This is a good thing. And there's some green, and I believe that a firefly, right, when you see it, which you don't see a lot of them, they have like a fluorescent green. And this is a black light piece, by the way. Right?
What does that mean?
Is that if you have a black light,
Mm-hmm.
right, and you turn the lights off, just like psychedelic, that's what I want to get into as well, is the genre. I've been doing it. It's all black light, right? So you buy, right, the fluorescent tubes, right, the purple tubes,
Yeah.
and then you hang them, you ceiling on the wall, right? You keep, right, the poster, right? You can do it this up, below, up. And I don't know about the prints, but I know about the originals, right? Just vibrant, just like this in the 70s, right? When you've got.
So when you turn on the black light, it's going to look very different, or will this black be a different? It will glow, or what will happen?
It will resonate, right? Like whites will take on like a purplish hue,
Sure.
right? I don't use a lot of whites, right? But I will use, and there's a special line of paint that's very expensive, and it comes in like little containers like this, like 60 milliliters, and it comes in a box of 5, and it's like $150 in this Liquitex, and it's maybe they call it phosphorescent, but it's basically glow in the dark, right?
Sure.
So the originals, I don't know about the prints themselves.
I don't think it's going to do that, is my guess, but I don't know anything about art or paint, and really don't know what I'm talking about.
Do you remember hipster?
Yes, I remember when you walked in and you said, "Yeah, you're one of those hipsters."
Well, then I look at the shirt and I'm like,
"Oh, you got the shirt, you got the beard."
yeah. What? Do you remember the 70s?
No, I was born in '87.
Oh man,
Sorry.
Okay, do you remember?
I've seen him in the movies.
I'm not into the psychedelic art. Yes, right. Like I would gear that to those people that are engaging themselves in like psychedelic. Right?
Yeah.
Right. Magic. Right.
I think you can say mushrooms.
Oh, okay.
Without
Shrooms.
calling it
Shrooms.
explicit.
And
Expletive.
gonna say LSD. These are things I do not do. I'm drug free and I don't drink alcohol. So now that is the one that you chose.
Yeah. This one reminds me of the fall. Well, it's called fall autumn equinox.
Yes.
And it's beautiful color combinations.
You want me to?
I think it's good. I think it's okay.
Again, Rory, I sent Rory photographs of these because I had them all on my table. And for me, being a perfectionist, I had out like a drafting ruler, right? I laid out a tape. I made sure dead center, right, for the autumn equinox, and then okay, how many letters in equinox, right? And then I go, where's the center of equinox? Where's the center of autumn? So I know the center of the painting. Now I need the center of the autumn, center of the equinox, right? And then the font and all of that stuff. So yeah, that's the grueling part. Because if you mess that up, Matt,
It's over.
well, it's over for you because you want to put that in your
Yes.
in your thing. Have you been paying attention to what is said on the bottom left?
The
corner?
first one said to Ark and Matty G with gratitude.
Yes.
And then it had the title, and then you had your signature and your name in the right-hand corner.
The only thing I'm concerned about is what, right? For you, what did I say to you? What would I say to you on the
With
one that
gratitude?
you're not on the one that
No,
you're
what
going
did
to
it
put?
say?
Many thanks,
Oh,
Matt.
not for resale? Many thanks.
Okay, you will know as digital, right? Is that MC stands for HC, which is at the bottom of Hubert. That's not right. That's an 80s video game, right? In case you're no, the hipster doesn't know who Hubert is, right? Now that's not a bad thing. I had to put HC, which in the art world means, I don't know if this is how you say it, whores commerce, because of the fact that that is not my,
Right.
that's not my creation.
Yep.
Not for sale. If it was for sale, then, right? Then trouble.
Big trouble.
Yes.
Hopefully this podcast doesn't blow up and expose you.
Yeah.
So this one
and that's
says-
for the family.
So do you had talked about we want to maybe auction this off? Or what do we want to do with it?
That's a tough one. Because if you auction, there's a monetary value to transfer into that.
Right.
Right. And that, because a portion of that, I don't want to get into this, but this is called, right, in the artistic world, right? Not autistic world, but in the artistic world, I'm quite certain, artistic appropriation.
Mm-hmm.
That's a terrible thing. But at the same time, it's a significant, it has a significant meaning to me because that's part of the positive experience going with my buddies to the variety store, the arcade, and we all shared all of this stuff. And if I post something, right, on the Facebook, which I keep a low, right, under the radar with that.
Right.
But my one buddy, and we hung out during teens, I have sent him anything about, right, arcades, Cubert, right? It's always a love. So there was an option. I do have another cartoon character called William, and I had said to someone, perhaps I can take the original, paint over, and put William on it, his cartoon character. Or I can get permission. I'm going to have to play cards here.
Permission's boring. Well, we'll do. I got some ideas with this. I'll talk about it.
Yeah.
We can just give it away at a tournament also. Golf tournament.
We can.
Yeah.
You can, right?
Yeah.
As the co-founder and your wife.
Yeah.
There are alternatives, right? There all are alternatives.
Sure.
Right? Not always monetary conversation. Donation?
Right.
It's nonprofit.
Yep.
So you're smart. You're very smart. Man.
For the record, we're not a registered charity or nonprofit yet. But
I'm sure in a lot of churches.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. But and if you can't figure something out, we'll work something out.
Yep.
I'm more than happy just to, right?
Yep.
I'm absolutely more than happy to, right? Because I'm a fan of ARC. So, and that one says, and I intended it to say Autism Resources Kawartha,
Thank you.
right? Not ARC, because a lot of people would be like, Noah's Ark. What's the D? Right? So, yeah.
Noah's Ark was a part of the reason why I liked that ARC abbreviation, though.
Really?
Mhm.
And why?
The idea of the Noah's Ark story of what is it, two animals, two of each animal,
Mm-hmm.
going into this structure for salvation, for help, for
Mhm.
support.
Mm-hmm.
That was a part, like a very small component, but something I thought about with Noah's Ark it came to mind of, will it be associated with this? The idea of the ark, the big wooden structure, support, help, strength.
Mm-hmm.
These were all things that played into it when we were naming it. Yeah.
And society was mocking Noah. Mocking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mocking, right? Saying, you're a fool, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that in his mind, I'm certain that he knew and the question is, what is truth? But he knew, right? He knew that he was being called, right, by God accordingly.
Yeah.
And right, he was, right, doing. But yes, the common folk, the society, right? Maybe they're neurotypicals, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, they, right, they basically just made fun of him, right? And he's like, hasta la vista, good luck, right?
Oh, it's just funny that you brought up Noah's Ark, because like I've never said that out loud to too many people, but it was a component or a thought of, does the Noah's Ark imagery and story work with this name? So, anyways,
You know what? It's wonderful.
thank you. Of course,
I always have something.
add it into the
I'm
mic
done.
though.
Oh, I got something to add to this. Is that right? After the 40 days, after the 40 nights, my mom's always quoting me scriptures. I'm like, I know that scripture already, right? And always like that, right? But after, right, the 40 days, 40 nights, or somewhere around that time, sent a dove. And it's very symbolic for peace, right?
Yeah.
It's that symbolism, and came back with an olive branch, I believe, olive branch. So those two, the olive branch and the dove,
Sure.
coming back, and then the rainbow, I believe, afterwards, right? Which is a symbol that this will never happen again. God had said, I believe. Don't get me right. I'm not, right?
Just a couple dudes talking.
Yeah. Right. That's what it said in the package, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's what happened is there might have been a rainbow, and that was a promise or a covenant. I think that's what they call it. A covenant that, right, the creator would never flood the earth like that. Right. And that flood story is common. It's throughout the world in different cultures, indigenous culture, right? Here.
Sure.
Right. So, it had to have happened.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, why did they make up that thing? So that's the missing cap. That's great.
I'm going to ask you one last question. And then when you're done talking, I'm going to hit stop on the recording. And then you can go back to smoking and swearing.
No.
So,
I'm okay with the swear.
good?
Yeah, no. I've held back on
You made it through.
Wow.
Almost. So last question.
May I? Okay.
Grab your
yeah,
cap.
you know what? I'll hold off on
You can
finding
grab your cap. It's okay.
No.
Last question.
Yeah.
If there was one thing you wanted people to know about autism, what would it be?
I have thought about that for several years. And I know for a person like myself, and I know, no, I don't know. I've heard, right? I don't know. For myself, I believe that, right? I believe that there's a greater, and I had to write this down because I'm not always right. There's a greater access to resources and programs for adolescents who transition into adulthood, right? And adults who are on the spectrum. There's a great need for those resources and programs. For whatever reason, I have my ideas, and you do not want to hear them, right? Is that there's they pour funding, tons of funding in for children, right? Speech therapy, right? Occupational therapy, right? Applied behavioral analysis, right? All of these things, right? And the money's just it's being pulled in to the children. Not saying that that's not a bad thing, right? But as an outsider looking in, right? Maybe not myself, but as an outsider looking in, you compare and contrast what the reality of adolescents transitioning into adulthood and adults. There is little to nothing. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but there isn't. And I read articles about that. The parents, caregivers, if you're living with your, right? And the reality is a lot of the individuals on the spectrum, right, that are higher functioning or what have you, they're living with employment is an issue, right?
Yeah.
Right? Employers don't want, right? Because there's conflict involved. So the resources and things like that. So to have programs and things like that for the government, right? For the government to realize that, you know what, this group, right? Pretty soon, and we know, I think we know, is that people, millennials, for example, aren't having the children that right before. So there's going to be a massive exodus from a massive transition into into adulthood, and there will be less children. But I'd say level the playing field, right? Right. The children, they do need, right? They do. It's important, right? But don't forget about us. Don't forget about us, because it's almost as if, right? It's always so sad, right? And
what you're trying to say is the sarcastic joke that I've heard is when you become an adult, your autism goes away. But you as an adult, people on the spectrum as an adult, still have challenges and they still need support. And why are we forgetting about it? Why are we forgetting about autism when people become adults?
I do have an answer. What I was saying about as an outlier, looking in for the children. Historically, right? Even Autism Speaks, right? Autism Speaks would say, right? We need to cure this. It's like a cancer, right? You're going to have a horrible, horrible life if your child has autism. So looking, and I don't know what the paradigm is now, but the money is still being poured in. But I'm thinking that, and it would just appear this way, and probably to a lot of people, right, that are like, hey, we got no services, we've got no programs. We'd like to go to do this, to do that. Passport, right, that allows you to do things, yes. But, right, but if all of the money or majority of the money is being pooled into the children, my question would be, right, are we trying to fix? Are we trying to fix something so that when the transition happens, like you say, right? So is it that, right? Is it that we're going to, right? We're going to replace all the stimming that's inappropriate at the mall where the parents are like ashamed and society thinks, right, sees the child and says, okay, what is this parent doing? right? And the stemming is calm to them. It is allowing them, and you would know this, right?
Yep.
Yes, it's allowing them. So, right, as Rory said, and I don't know where she got this, and we're saying this as adults, and the researchers are realizing this. If it isn't broken, don't fix it. So the money's going in, but I would say, and as with ARC, it would be a wonderful, wonderful thing if you could, right, find these resources. Yeah.
For adults.
Yes, because autism, you're going to close it down. ASO, Asperger's Society of Ontario, they've generally dealt with that group over here, right?
Sure.
You know where.
Yep.
And I think they closed down because of lack of funding. So, but with ARC, I would say, as you asked me the question, don't forget about us.